All right, listener. Welcome back to the First Brothers podcast. It's your boy Mutsa Christian back in the cut with my brothers Mangoro and Sangi. What's good, brothers? Let me start by saying it's good to be back with the boys again. Hey, we're dropping a lot of content this week, but let me let the brothers say hello to the wonderful listeners out there, and then we'll get started. Starting with the boy Sangi, and then we'll go to the boy Mangoro, and then we'll get into as my favorite saying these days, the meat of the episode. So over to you, Mr. Sangi.
Hello, dear listener, dear viewer. Welcome to the Forest Brothers podcast. Once again, it's amazing to be here with my two brothers, Maury, Mangoro. It's great to see you guys. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the discussion today. Like the man said, we are hitting y'all with the content, and we're very happy to do it. As long as y'all keep watching, we'll be here. We'll be here. Just keep tuning in. And yeah, over to you, Mangoro.
Oh, beautiful listener. Thank you for tuning into the Forest Brothers podcast. The Forest Brothers podcast is back. Another episode. We're not stopping. There's more to come. So be sure to do the right things. Like, comment, subscribe. The three beautiful things you need to do. You know them, listener. So be sure to do that. And yeah, interesting conversation we have today. Yeah, over to you, Mr. Mutsa.
I appreciate it. All right, listeners. So today we're talking about the hot story in football right now, which is the events that transpired at the Ballon d'Or. And in case you do not know what the Ballon d'Or is, it is this award ceremony every year where apparently the best player in the world is awarded the best trophy. Like, oh, you had a really good season last season. You played well. Here's a trophy to say, well done. That's basically the Ballon d'Or. For a long time, it was dominated by Messi and Ronaldo. And now that their time is up, we're now getting to see new winners. But this year, in particular, there was a robbery where a lot of people feel like there was a robbery because, in case you don't know, Rodri from Man City won the Ballon d'Or, but a lot of people were expecting Vinicius Jr., who plays for Real Madrid, to win it, and he did not win it. In fact, the entire Real Madrid team boycotted the Ballon d'Or this year. They did not go. Carlo Ancelotti did not go. Nobody from Real Madrid was present at the Ballon d'Or. Absolutely nobody. And I think they even won Team of the Year. And Ancelotti won Coach of the Year. And he was not present. No one was present. They released a statement saying, hey, we feel disrespected by this award ceremony, whatever. Like, we don't want to participate. Y'all disrespect Madrid, or whatever the case. I also heard that a bunch of fans outside the where the ceremony was taking place were chanting Vini's name, saying he deserves, because unfortunately or fortunately, the news broke out that Rodri had kind of won the Ballon d'Or way before the event was supposed to. I think we knew a day before, because Fabrizio Romano, in case you don't know, released information saying, yeah, Vinicius Jr. is not attending the Ballon d'Or this year. As soon as they said that, well, okay, we all knew that, okay, it means Rodri has won. So, and then he did, of course. But there's been a lot of uproar, a lot of debate online, whether Rodri deserved it, whether Vinicius was robbed or not. So, listener, today we're going to want to have that debate and chuck a lot of viewpoints here and then just kind of get into this and see, like, did Vini really get robbed, or really did Rodri deserve it? So anyway, I wanna throw it to my brother Mangora there, and then we'll go to Sanya and kind of get your perspective on the matter. Was Vini robbed, or was Rodri a deserving player? Was Rodri the best player of the season last year, or was it Vini? But anyway, I'll hand it over to you, Mangora, and you can let the listeners know what your thoughts are.
So for me, when I look at the Ballon d'Or, I see it doesn't have that gravitas that it used to have back in the day when it was Messi and Ronaldo and we're all tuning in at midnight there back home when we were still growing up, and it was like a major award. And now it's sort of become a popularity contest. That's what I've seen it as become. Not a lot of people actually do even bother to watch what's going on, except like the actual players, because to them it still means a lot. For when I look at it, I would say I don't know. I'm of the opinion that I really just not that bothered. Okay, I'm not saying not that bothered, but uh, I'm of the opinion that between the two of them, I really just me personally, but I don't really mind who won it. Like I did think that Rodri had a lot good season last season. I mean, could have a good season. Same thing for Vini. He had a good season. As to who had a better season, I know they're at whatever company that runs the Ballon d'Or. They look at trophies, maybe the whole of trophies that Rodri had versus the one that Vinny had, and the fact that Rodri also had an international tournament, maybe that did count. He also did win best player at the Euros. So maybe that did sway the vote because when you also have to keep in mind this is a European award and Rodri won a European international tournament, the biggest one, okay, not the biggest one, but like the only one. So that kind of does have like some sort of weight, add some weight to like the argument that okay, Rodri is supposed to be the one that won. The other thing is that this is also very subjective as to who wins the Ballon d'Or because it's a bunch of journalists who actually select the particular players that are supposed to win that award. And from my understanding, a large majority of them do come from the English Premier League. So I'm not saying there's bias there, but when you see a person week after week versus a guy you heard, oh, you see him what the Champions League semi-final and final, and you tell me that that's the guy that you're gonna put in. So like the sample size, I'd say, is not mathing. Given that if you see Rodri for 30 games a season, you're like, okay, he's the best in the Premier League. And then when you see Vinny for 3 games, you're like, okay, it kind of doesn't match up. Maybe if they were to watch the Liga games, then have like a full comparison on like an apples to apples comparison of like watch Rodri for 30 games, watch Vinny for 30 games. Okay, who's better? And then vote according to that. But the end of the day, it's someone's opinion and they're going to cast their vote there. And there's literally nothing we can do. And we're just going to sit here, have a conversation about it. And to me, like, that's just how football has become now. It's become very diluted. That's just my take. But I don't know, Mutsa, do you like see it that way? Or for you, you've had some very interesting things to say. I don't know if you want to add on and start the debate right away.
I was gonna say, and Samsung and free to jump in after this. I was gonna say, given what you're saying, Mangoro, like, oh, he did win these amount of awards. Like, I even have a list here of what they say Rodri won. So Rodri won the Euros, as you've mentioned. He won the Premier League with Man City. He won the UEFA Super Cup. Then they won the FIFA Club World Cup, and he was also voted. Um, he got the Golden Ball for the Euros, I believe. People say, oh, he's got the longest unbeaten streak in the Premier League. That's something that they say about him. And when we talk about Vini won the Champions League, they won La Liga, and they won the Spanish Super Cup. If we're saying that Rodri won more trophies than Vini, which, sure, wouldn't that mean that Carvajal should have been more deserving than Rodri? Because Carvajal actually has every trophy that Rodri has, including a Champions League final. So Carvajal actually has one extra trophy. Doesn't that mean that Carvajal was the deserving player? If we're using the category of saying this player won the most trophies, then Carvajal's presence should. And in the rankings, he was, I think, fifth, from if I'm not mistaken. He wasn't even like third. He was like fourth, I think. Let me even make sure he was fourth. Jude Bellingham was even third. And then Carvajal was fourth. So why is it that Rodri deserved it more than Carvajal? If that's the argument. Anyway, I'll ask Mangoro since you brought that up that point. But yeah, maybe I'll let Sangi. What are your thoughts on that actually? If these are the things that people are saying, but we also have the brother Carvajal in contention here. Why not him? So over to you, Sangi.
Yeah, I think there is quite a fair amount of PR involved here because, when it was just Messi and Ronaldo, it was simple, because they were obviously the two best players in the world on any given year. So whoever won it, like you could debate, I think Cristiano deserved it more this year. No, I think Messi, but it wasn't that, divisive because at least you knew, like, yeah, objectively speaking, these are the two best players. Now it's a bit more wide open. Um, so you have to go with team performance, you have to go with trophies and all that sort of thing. And this is where I think the voters, I think they let themselves down here because they did this thing last year where Messi Messi almost had to win it. He had to because number one, he was the most high profile name on the list, um, and he had just won the World Cup. I have never seen someone go win the World Cup, be the best player at the World Cup. That's the biggest tournament in football, and not win the Ballon D'Or. It would have been crazy. Like if Haaland won it over him or something, it would have been crazy. Like that just couldn't happen. So Messi had to win that one. In my opinion, if there was a time to give Rodri the Ballon d'Or, it would have been last year because he won the treble. He was a key part of that team. I still think Haaland would have deserved it more, but if there was ever a time, I think that would have been the time. This year, it feels like they're giving him the award as if to say, hey, we couldn't give it to you last year. So, hey, have it now. Here's your consolation prize. You get it a year late. And it's like, I'm not sure you can do that because, if that's the case, we should be giving one to Lewandowski. We should be saying, hey, Lewandowski, that year you didn't win it, we gave it to Messi. Why don't you have it this year? Like we could do that with so many players, and I don't think that's a valid way to start evaluating these awards. I feel like you still have to go on the major tournaments people won and their contributions to those wins. Rodri went off in the final when Spain won. And, just, I'm just going to put out there, like, okay, he's very key for Manchester City. Like, right? He's very good for Manchester City. I'm not saying, he doesn't deserve anything, but, like, he's also a defensive midfielder. I understand that when they won everything, and I think this is where the PR comes from, he scored a lot of key goals because a lot of teams parked the bus against Manchester City. And Manchester City, Haaland can't get in the game, Foden can't get in the game, De Bruyne can't cross to anyone because he can't find the two strikers in the box. So the ball usually ends up at the edge of the box, and Rodri is very good at hitting long shots. And he's won Manchester City a lot of games that way. And I think that's where the PR comes from because I could argue that Rodri, as a player, he's not like he's good. Like yes, in the job he does, he's one of the best in the world at it. But we're talking about the Ballon d'Or. If you go through the list of names that have won it, like I don't see how Rodri, given the amount of talent we're watching year in year out, I just don't see how he matches up. Like I know Vini had a horrible game at the Clasico, but I watched him in the Champions League scoring a hat trick, lifting his team up to win 5-2. Like moments like that is why more attackers win the Ballon d'Or than defensive midfielders. And I just don't see why Rodri wins it because, he's been unbeaten for 2 seasons. Part of the reason he was unbeaten, by the way, is that he missed the games through suspension that Man City lost. Okay, so it's like, if we're being real over here, like it's not like, he's that good that this guy just doesn't lose. Like no, like there's some luck here. There's circumstance here. Like he's not perfect. So I don't understand this need to generate stats just because he's a defensive midfielder, just because he didn't win it last year, just because he plays for Manchester City, just because we don't like the way Vini complains all the time. I feel like it's all PR because really, if you look at things objectively, there are other players who would have deserved it more. Vini being one of them, and that's just what I think. So yeah.
Just to add on to that section there, Samson, I do agree with a lot of what you said there. And there are aspects where I think about just these tournaments as a whole, where I'm like, like tournaments and like these awards, where like we've seen some robberies in the past where some people we can argue were robbed in certain years. And I think that's just where these awards are headed at this point, and there's not much we can do. Uh, Definitely, I think maybe what tipped it in Rodri's scale. I'm not too sure. Maybe it was the international trophy. If may, I would definitely say if Vinny had won the Copa America, that would have probably put him ahead. That does play a role in these things. Like at the end of the day, as much as like when you look at like the big game players, like the players with like that big game temperament, I think Vinny has it over Rodri. We've seen it even in the Champions League final. Like I remember seeing an image of Jude Bellingham celebrating before Vinny even scored that second goal against Dortmund. That's how much trust he had in him. So you can start to see like that. There's certain aspects that they look at. And Mutsa, to your point of Carvajal, as a person who back in my playing days, I once played right back. Not once for quite some time. I did play out there at full back. Very nice position, very comfortable, simple. You don't do too much there. Nice position, but in all honesty, as much as like we may say Carvajal also deserved it to win it, the sad reality of just football as a whole is there's no right back winning this trophy. Like it was even an anomaly when Fabio Cannavaro won it in 2005. I don't think a right back will be winning the Ballon d'Or. Like there are some, so I'd say there's some positions on the field where you never you never think of that person for major awards, be it in an international tournament like for best player or best whatever, young player and things like that. It's always an attacking player because they score the goals. They're the ones that are seen the most. They're the ones that get the most screen time. So I don't necessarily think it'll ever be any right back or thing because what's very interesting about just generally like just people and us as people who watch the sport is we don't remember the players who play in like the positions that are unfancied, like center back, left to right back. Like we don't remember those things. Like if I were to ask you today, Mutsa, who played for Spurs in the okay, not Spurs, but who played for Spurs in the 2019 Champions League final at left back or right back? Maybe you remember, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Some Spurs fans don't even remember that. So those are unfancy positions, but you remember that Son, Harry Kane, and the front, like whoever was there up front. Well, you remember those ones. You remember who was in the midfield, but in defense, do you remember those? So yeah, that's just the sad reality, man. Sad reality of the situation.
It is a sad reality, but one thing I would say is the thing about Rodri, he was not even the best Premier League player last season. Like he was not even in the top five, not even the top eight. I don't think. Like he was not the guy. So and then even in Spain, I still don't think, as Samson said, he was not even the best player in Spain at the tournament he played in. And so for me, it's like Rodri's not even the best player in Manchester City. So for me, it's like, okay, this guy is clearly like he's good at his job, 100%. I don't deny that. But Vini was arguably the best player in Spain last season. Like he was killing Man City actually when he played. Like they couldn't handle him. That's how good he was. And so I don't understand where the PR for Rodri came from. And I do think that a large part of it does come from the fact that Vinny is the face of anti-racism in football. And a lot of people don't like that. They say he's antagonistic. They say he taunts the fans, he taunts the players, so he brings it on himself. Even though we have seen, because I know one of the categories too in the Ballon d'Or is fair play and something something. But there's also times when Rodri has been seen choking players. He's not a saint on the football field, He's not that guy either. So we can't look at that and say, oh, Rodri is a more level headed player than Vini. It's just that Vini gets, imagine all the shit that Spanish players be saying in his ear when he's playing against them. I can imagine like the fans are calling you gorilla, baboon, whatever. The players are saying some shit on their nose, just taunting you all game. Of course, like you just want him to play and eat that. Like, come on, man, that's not fair. So I do think that it's unfair what has happened to the boy Vinny. And even just last season, when they said Messi won, for me, when Messi won the Ballon d'Or, there were two players that I felt like actually deserved it because Haaland decimated the Premier League, top goal scorer, played one of the trophies that Man City could win. He was the guy. Okay, sure, he didn't win an international tournament. There was also Alvarez, so he was with Messi at the World Cup. He won the shit too, and he won his trophies with Man City. He didn't get it either. So I'm not to say that Alvarez is like any, he's the best player or whatever, but I don't know. It's for me, it's like these things have become really, really, really subjective, and yeah, it has ruined the Ballon d'Or for me, to be honest. But Samson, I know you might have more thoughts on this as well, so I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, I was also going to say that the Ballon d'Or is a European construct, right? So it's even the name, it's French. It's created by French journalists. I think it started in the 50s. And I was scrolling through Wikipedia looking. Wikipedia has a very nice list of all the past Ballon d'Or winners, and they include not just the winner, but the top three. And I was searching, and I noticed that until about, I think it was 2000 or 99, there were no players. 96, there was no one outside of Europe that had made the top three. Brazilian Ronaldo is the first player to make the top three of the Ballon d'Or in 1996 when he played for Barcelona. And I don't think anyone has made the list playing outside of Europe either. So I'm saying this just to say that the Ballon d'Or as an award has had a representation problem in the past. And I think with Vini, especially, moving forward, because it's very clear that right now, no matter how you feel about Vinicius Jr., maybe you don't think he deserved this Ballon d'Or, but you can at least admit he's in the top three, like, or the top two. Like, he's that good. He's at that level of quality player, given the players that are playing right now. He's leading Real Madrid to win trophies, big trophies, and he's doing consistently. Like, he's there. So I'm waiting to see. Like, I'm willing to give the Ballon d'Or a pass and say, you know what, fine. You want to give Rodri because of last year, fine. But if Vini does not win, or a player who looks like Vini does not win in the next few years, having won what Vini has won, I think it's going to be very clear to us what's going on, because I think Rodri is just the right face at this point. Like you guys were saying, a lot of people have a problem with Vini being as vocal as he is. A lot of people, frankly, doxing people don't do well in these awards. I think the last person to get nominated who was as dark as Vini was Sadio Mane in 2022, and before him, I'm not sure there's. Yeah, before him, the darkest person was probably Van Dijk. And I don't know if you guys have seen Van Dijk, but not too much melon. He has an okay amount of melon, but it's like, it's Van Dijk. So I'm just gonna say, like, I think that there might be a bit more than just football here. Yeah, so I'm waiting to see if that changes the next few years.
I was even going to say that the last black player to win the Ballon d'Or was, I believe, Ronaldinho. So ever since then, there hasn't really been anybody, actually. Like, he's an ex. And yeah, I mean, so that just shows that for someone like Vini, like, yeah, I don't know if what is going to take for them to actually give that kind of guy the recognition that he deserves. And given that, I'm very curious, and I'll throw this at Mangoro. Like, how should we feel about the Ballon d'Or moving forward? Is this even an award that we should care about? Like, at this point, because I'd even ask, even before you answer that, when did the Ballon d'Or for you stop being a prestigious award? Like, when did that happen? For me, I can point out that the Ballon d'Or fell off a lot for me when I could tell, like, okay, when they gave it to Messi that year. Like, that was like, all right. I'm even trying to think if it fell off even way before that. But for me, that was the moment I was like, okay, this thing is just, it's not based on merit anymore. It's just based off of vibes and who these people want to win it. But for me, I don't care about it anymore. And I'm very curious to hear if you boys think that it's not gonna, it's not gonna pick up anymore. Like, this is it. Like, it's now just become a useless award. Even players are now not even showing up for it anymore. So is this like the end, the fall off Ballon d'Or, or do y'all feel like there's a way that it can be resurrected? But Mangoro, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about what's next for the Ballon d'Or.
I think it's still gonna continue happening, given that it's now still it's still like an event and players still go to it. Before I answer your question, I do want to mention that I'm actually like very disappointed in Real Madrid players, staff, ownership, in that even if you know you're not going to win the awards, just honor them. Just show up, clap for him even if you're upset, and then leave. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I think the professional aspect, that's just a professional thing to do. That's just my take, because, like, come on, next year now when you get nominated and then you know you're gonna win, are you gonna show up? So, like, that kind of puts that position of, now when you know you're gonna win, you show up, but when you're not gonna show up. What if next year Rodri gets nominated, and then when he knows he's not gonna win, he doesn't show up? Like, it kind of like it loses that respect of an award. Maybe that's just where the awards are headed. But for the players in themselves, like, I think for them, it's still a prestigious award. It's like an individual award. You as a player, you're nominated by your fellow colleagues, coaches, stuff, all those kind of people to be in this award. And it's a true honor in your career if you even nominated, even to be in the top 30 is already an honor. This is not like a continental thing. This is the world. 30 best people in the world in this profession, you are amongst them. That's an honor. But all in all, I think just generally, maybe it's just uh ever since they lost, I think the FIFA connection and all like the splits that have happened now, it's independent. I think it's also lost it. It's lost that rigor that it had previously. For me, like, I'd say the best at its pinnacle, it was when it was Messi, Ronaldo. That was like when we were watching, and then each other year, like, then maybe one year it'd be like Ribery, then there would be, I think, maybe one of these Barca guys, Iniesta, Xavi. That was when, like, Ballon d'Or was at its peak. Now we just wake up and Fabrizio tells us who won. Like, no one really cares. That's just what these awards have become, because there's nothing to it. Like, what I was excited to see was my former coach, Emma Hayes. She won Women's Coach of the Year. I was happy for her. I was also happy to see Ronan Williams, South African goalkeeper for Mamelodi Sundowns, there at the awards. True honor for a South African person to be at the Ballon d'Or, to be nominated for Goalkeeper of the Year for his heroics at AFCON. For them to recognize our continent, that was truly special. So those are the few other things that I'd say I was happy for. But in terms of the awards themselves, I just mainly, the only award maybe I look forward to is maybe like the Young Player Award, like Lamine Yamal one. I do like to see who the next generation of player is. Like, because when you look at it from that list, maybe the ones that were nominated with Lamine Yamal, maybe like in 2-3 years, one of those other players will be the Ballon d'Or winner. We don't know. So I'm always interested to see, like, the young player award, but the main award in itself, it's lost that oomph, and it's just an item that people just get given, and we talk about it, and, like, by next week people would have forgotten that there was Ballon d'Or awards. Like, literally people would have forgotten. But with the years of Messi and Ronaldo, people would talk about it for at least 3-4 weeks after. Like, maybe it should have been Messi, maybe it should have been Ronaldo. What about Xavi? What about Iniesta? But now it's like Rodri won. By Sunday, we're talking about something else, and it's like it didn't even happen.
You know, the funny thing is, we're going to watch Rodri play. They're going to play this weekend. And I have news for you. Actually, he's not playing. He's out for the year. I
Yeah,
forgot.
he's cooked. He's cooked.
He's
You
done.
think?
He's
Yeah.
done. Well, if he was going to play, he was going to be part of this Manchester City team that is going to struggle for 80 minutes. And he's going to struggle too because he's going to be caught on the counter attacks. And then at the 85th minute, he's going to score a screamer, and all the journalists are going to say, "You see, that's why. That's why he's the best player in the." And it's like, I don't think that you can. I don't know. I'm kind of repeating myself. I don't see how you look at Rodri and his overall game and you say to yourself, "Yes, this is the best player in the world right now." I do not see it. I just there's no way that's the best player in the world. I don't know. I think it's just these journalists and these PR machines that they put together. I think it's just insane. Like, I don't think you can make that argument. But it is what it is. And yeah, like Mangoro said, no one really cares. And Fabrizio ruined everything. He's ruining everything. Actually, he's ruining transfers. He's ruining awards. Next thing you're gonna do, I hope he doesn't ruin managerial sackings, because that's the one thing we still have that is still exciting. Like, there's nothing like logging onto Twitter or Instagram and you see that post by the club statement and the little link. There's nothing like it. It's just the best thing ever. So hopefully that he doesn't ruin. But yeah, the Ballon D'Or's really lost its flavor.
No, 100%. I totally agree with you guys. And I mean, I only found out by accident that the Ballon d'Or was on last night. Like, I literally found out. Like, I was like, oh, there's Ballon d'Or today. But lastly, one interesting thing that I did hear was, what the ripple effects are gonna be, given that Vini didn't win this one, because he does play now in a team where Mbappe also plays. And Mbappe is a kid who really wants to win the Ballon d'Or. Like, I think that's his, especially as the face of France football. I know that he wants it. So, and I know that because of this, Vini really wants to prove that he can win it. Like, he made a post saying, "I'm going to try 10 times harder to win this thing." So maybe not. It's not going to have an effect on Real Madrid, but I do feel like it might cause some issues if it's a 2-on-1 situation and Vini needs to pass the ball to Mbappe for a tap in. Is Vini gonna do that, or is he gonna just bazooka that ball into the net, or try his best, or vice versa? Mbappe is in a position where he can't score, and all he has to do is pass to Vini for a tap in. Is he gonna do that, or is he gonna chase glory for himself? Now I don't know if what that means. So with that, listener, we certainly hope that you've enjoyed the podcast. We certainly hope that we have addressed any of your thoughts. But please do feel free to like, share, comment. But definitely comment in when we drop the episode. Tell us your thoughts. Vinny, was he robbed? Did Rodri deserve it? By all means, let us know. But anyway, brothers, thank you so much for the conversation. I think it's time we let the listeners go. So I'm gonna throw it to the boy Mangoro and then Samson to close it out. So over to you, Mr. Mangoro.
I know, listener. Once again, thank you for tuning in to the Frost Brothers podcast. It's been an honor to have you here listening to us tell you all about the great Ballon d'Or. Yeah, I don't know, like just think about it. Let us know in the comments, as Mutta said, like what you think, and yeah. Enjoy the rest of the week. Be sure to tune into the other episodes we dropped. I think probably an interesting one about Eric Ten Hag or Seven Hag. Tune into that one. We've got content coming. Some more content. Just be sure to do the right thing. Like, comment, subscribe. Do all that beautiful stuff. Over to you, Samson.
Yeah, dear listener, welcome. I mean, not welcome. I don't know why I said that. You have been with the Forest Brothers podcast. Glad to have you. It's always a pleasure. It's always a good time with the brothers. Mangoro Mutsa. Always a pleasure, gents. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you guys feel about these awards. Personally, I think it's just going to be more PR and more PR and more PR. I predict the next person to win is Jude Bellingham. I say that because the brother is third. Yes, third. And, you know, third is kind of insane, given how England performed and all this, but, brother's third. So he's creeping up there. Before you know it, he's going to be second. And before you know it, he's going to be holding that thing. Might even hold it up shirtless, just for the PR. Right, dear listener, hope you've enjoyed. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.
Thank you so much, guys. And the amount of hate I'll give out when Jude wins that thing, oh Lord, it's gonna be pandemonium. But anyway, thank you so much, listener, and we will catch you on the next one. Peace out.